So
that was a learning phase. All right. Well, hi, and welcome to Queens of the Paddock, an F1 podcast. My name is Alex.
And I'm Courtney.
And we're back again for our final Meet the Grid episode.
For the port, remember? We deemed them the port.
It's the port course.
The port of the evening, I guess.
Of our meal, of our F1 grid meal.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Goodness, I can't believe.
Episode.
I know. It was like
crazy.
We were just talking. I was like, I can't believe we've gotten all the way through the grid.
I know.
Well, man,
it seems like it went by quickly.
Yeah,
there will be tons more information coming out.
Oh yeah, for sure. The season's about to start. Things are about to get real spicy and juicy. So I can't wait.
So today we're going to talk about Red Bull.
Yep, first on the grid for 2022. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And they completely dominated.
But not the first half of the year. Before the summer break, it was Ferrari and Red Bull was in the mix, but Ferrari was up there.
They kept on kind of trading off places.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then after summer break, just fell apart, like we talked about last episode. But
then, or I guess you could say it all fell together for them.
Well, it was just all of a sudden Max just started running away.
The Max show for sure.
Yeah, like on Sundays he was just like racing himself. It was like he was out for a Sunday drive.
And that was that's so frustrating because I want to see like battles
and drama and
passing each other.
Yeah,
and it was literally just Max,
just
Courtney said, Sunday stroll.
Yeah,
just drive it, and he would be like a full minute at times, like a whole lap ahead.
Yeah, it was just at some points it got annoying. It was just not.
Yeah.
Ugh. Well, hopefully this year, he wins the first race of the season so that he can get the curse. Second of all, I hope it's just a better, you know.
I hope we see more competition.
Mm-hmm.
I hope we see more people towards the back end of the grid, coming up maybe, and just giving us some surprises. We need some dark horses. We need some different people in the mix. Because also too, this past year, I think the only person that podiumed outside of Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes was Lando. Got one podium. Yeah. Every other podium was somebody from one of those teams, from the top 3 teams.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. we need a surprise,
shake it up.
A Williams. Just getting off the podium.
Man, that's a hefty prediction.
Or AlphaTauri or something,
Or Alpine.
And that'll be when we do our little team prediction thing.
Mm-hmm.
We need to do a hot take, and that's a sneak peek. That's one of my hot takes.
Oh God.
Don't steal my hot take. No, but I'm hoping for that.
No, I hope so too, and I also hope there's more competition between Checo and Max.
Yeah.
I think Checo deserves it.
Yeah.
He's such a good driver.
I want to see him come out on top.
Well, and if he doesn't get it, then I hope this year he just ends his contract and he takes over. No, goes to another team and becomes the number 1 driver because
I know they don't respect him.
They don't.
We'll talk about that, but.
Yeah.
They don't treat him right.
So,
but
leading off, give me some background on Red Bull.
So they finished 2022, obviously first place.
Mm-hmm.
And again, they dominated, like we said. So 759 points.
Oh God.
Which Ferrari was at 550, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So full 200-ish points ahead.
And they ran away with it in Coda, which there was still a solid 4 race. Yeah, before that.
Well, before that it was Max for the drivers.
Yeah.
But they
sealed the deal.
Up the constructors in Coda. Yeah. No, it was just domination. But okay, so they are an Austrian team, Red Bull being an Austrian company, founded by Dietrich Mateschitz. We've had to say his name so many times, and I can still not pronounce it. But we talked about him a little bit in the AlphaTauri episode because they're sister teams
and they're affiliated.
They're affiliated. So same guy, obviously, and Red Bull joined the grid back in 2005.
Okay, so they're a pretty new
Fairly
team.
new.
newer, yeah.
Yeah, fairly new. So before the team was purchased by Red Bull, it was Stewart Racing, and then Ford purchased Stewart Racing, and it was like the Ford team, and then Ford had rebranded as Jaguar, because back then Ford, the motor company, owned
the Jaguar company
brand, and so they had rebranded it to Jaguar, and then they put the team up for sale in 2004.
Okay, and that's when Red Bull
came in and purchased the team. And Red Bull had been a sponsor of F1 prior to actually like buying the whole team.
Okay, so they were trying to get in.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So they were involved. They were sponsoring Sauber. And then Dietrich and like just Red Bull as the company, like they've always been into the extreme sports and just different things. And so I think the like motorsports and F1 really like appealed to them.
Oh yeah.
For their branding and like what they're trying to do with their marketing.
Well, it just fits into them as a company,
right?
Like in general,
yeah. Yeah, and they've always been. That's really how they were able to grow the drink itself. The Red Bull drinks, and to this day, so Red Bull is still like. And now there's so many, like there's Monster and there's like Bang and there's Celsius and like all these other brands, but Red Bull is still the number one.
Oh, absolutely, like, because it's not just about the drink. Right. It's about everything.
It's the lifestyle.
Well, it's the lifestyle. It's about pushing the envelope and being innovative and new and fascinating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
they've always been about that. And then two, I would say like out of all the different teams on the grid, like Red Bull to me seems like the hip and cool and like they're always making the drivers do like crazy little challenges and stuff. Well, and I mean some of the other teams do that now.
Yeah,
but, like they
like Lando, McLaren, and all of them.
McLaren does a lot of that, and I feel like even Ferrari has started to kind of make the guys do stuff like that too.
A little bit more, not as much,
but nowhere near like Red Bull. Like I've seen different clips of like different races that they've gone to, and they had the drivers driving like Zambonis and like racing Zambonis and like all kinds of crazy stuff, like racing cars on like frozen roads, and just like going wild. So they're always doing stuff like that. But all of that said, they are still like extremely cutthroat, which we've talked about.
They are. And they're the most cutthroat team.
For sure. Like the most cutthroat and the most like focused on, I feel like, performance, and like if you don't produce, you're
gone,
out.
You
really
like
quick.
Yeah, very quick. I mean, who was it that only got half a season? Gasly only got half a season.
Albon, and like I feel like we've talked a little, like not even a little bit, like a lot about Red Bull just in some of these other episodes, because there's been so many like Gasly was there, and so we talked about Red Bull for that, and so it's just been like
it's very intertwined. There's a lot of drivers that have gone through the Red Bull, team,
Academy,
whether it's
kind of grown up through that whole like crew.
Yep, exactly.
But okay, so they have in total as a team 5 constructors championships.
Okay.
They had won, like they were really good and dominated like in the early like 2010s.
Okay. With who?
Had Vettel.
Okay.
Vettel. So I think they won like 4.
Was that also when Ricardo was there?
I think it might have been before Ricardo.
Okay.
Or maybe like I'll have to go back and look who was Vettel's like teammate.
Because they seemed very...
Hello, Editing Alex here again. So the Red Bull Constructors titles that they had won back in 2010, 2011, 2012, and 2013 were Sebastian Vettel and Mark Webber as a teammate. And interestingly, in 2010 when they won the Constructors title, Vettel came in 5th and Webber came in 6th, but they, as a team, had the most points overall. So they won the Constructors that year. But yes, so his teammate when they were winning back then was Webber. He did drive with Daniel Ricciardo in 2014, but they came in 2nd that year. Anyways, that's it. Okay, thanks. Bye.
very successful when Ricardo was there too.
Yeah, because he was winning a lot of races. Like they just weren't winning like constructors titles at that point. But yeah, he was definitely like producing and doing well for them. But okay, so they had back-to-back championship wins between 2010 and 2013 with Vettel.
Okay.
And then obviously they won this past year with Max, and then Max won the drivers' championship in 2021.
Yes.
So, but even so, like they've always been
a contender.
Towards the top of the grid. So like the first few years, their worst result, like as far as in the team championship, has been a P7, and that was like the first few years when they were just like barely
getting there. Like I'm sure they were just trying to like
just trying to get the team like underfoot and underway and all of that. But so I mean, beyond that, they've always been top contenders, like at the front of the grid, always doing really well. Okay, so the power unit.
Yeah.
So this past year, and I believe the year before, it was officially called the Red Bull power unit. And like they were, I feel like,
but I thought Honda made it.
Honda was making it.
Okay, right. So that's what I was about to say. So, it was Honda was making it, but it was like,
but they officially called it
the Red Bull
power unit. And I feel like initially, like they had plans of like trying to make their own power unit,
maybe with Honda, and like making just like it was just for them. Even if Honda made it for somebody else, like, it would be a different. Yes, yeah.
But so their deal with Honda. So now this next year, and well, I guess this year, 2023, it's going to be back to being called a Honda power unit officially. Like it's not going to be a Red Bull powertrain.
Okay.
And then Honda has already said that they're like exiting the sport in 2026, which is when Ford is coming back.
And I wonder if that's why they were probably teaming up with Ford if Honda's leaving. Right. And then they're already starting to think, okay, well, who's going to be our producer? Why is Honda leaving?
I don't know. And I feel like Honda, like,
that's very odd.
They've kind of come in and out, and they've almost been a little bit like, in my opinion, which is like my humble opinion, but they've been a little bit wishy-washy. Like, I think they come in, then they like are really full force for like a couple years, and then they pull back. Yeah. And then they want to come back again. And then, you know, they do this whole thing like
it's like they do it when it's convenient for them.
Yeah, like to me, I feel like if they just like stuck with it and said, you know, hey, like we're going to do this and like we're going to do it well and whatever, like over time it would work out great. Yeah. You know, like why are we being wishy-washy about it?
Yeah, I don't know.
But I guess they're going to be out again. But Red Bull's like no concerns because they're bringing Ford in. So that was their whole like, I mean.
Well, it was a secret and it got leaked early.
It got leaked. And then they announced it at their car launch. And like watching that car launch, like the actual car was like such a small percentage, which we'll talk about that more when we do our whole like car launch recap. Yeah. But it was like, I feel like they were like, oh, Ford, like, let's talk about Ford. And they brought the Ford CEO. And
yes. Like, it was like all deal. About that. It wasn't about their car this year.
Yeah, it really wasn't. And then it's crazy because that's not happening until 2026. So it's like.
Still a ways away.
Yeah, it's still a ways away. So like, what are we going to do? Just keep up like talking about Ford for 3 years?
Probably.
Maybe they'll start to get like slowly like more involved.
That's what I think.
So it's not just like, you know, 2026 starts and like here they are. Like I bet you will see.
I'm sure they're going to be doing all sorts of testing and all of that.
Yeah,
you know?
We'll probably see some of that like over the next couple years. But yeah, so I don't know, their Red Bull powertrain thing. I think like they were trying to. Like
they were struggling a lot. Yeah. They were really frustrated. They had Renault. And then they went to Honda. And then now like Honda's like, see ya.
I feel like Honda's kind of like backed out on them like in this deal. Yeah. And then for a second they were in talks kind of, I felt like, with Audi.
Yes.
For a minute, and then Audi was like, okay, no, we're going to do this whole deal with Sauber. So.
I don't know. I mean, it will be interesting.
I think at a certain level, like Red Bull wants to have too much, like they wanted to call it their own thing. So maybe some of the, like Honda's probably like kind of balking at that. Like, you know, it's our engine. Like, why are you trying to call it this?
Yeah, I think they
Audi saw and didn't like that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
Speculating.
We are totally speculating over here.
Highly speculative. But I think it'll be good though, because having bought the Ford team, like, so they kind of already have that relationship there.
Like, yeah, from the get-go.
So, it'll be good.
I think it's interesting also, though, because this kind of is a good stepping stone into their team principal.
Yeah.
Because he was really vocal about their power unit when it was like they were struggling with it and stuff. And then he was super happy when they went to Honda and all of that. Right. So, I don't know. So I was about to say, do you want to introduce our
team principal?
Yeah,
so their team principal is Christian Horner. And he's been their principal since the beginning. Since 2005. Like, he started out with the team. He's really, like, grown with the team. Has been there since they've been on the grid.
Yeah. He's extremely vocal. Extremely in the public eye, I would say, for a team principal.
But I feel like Christian, like, loves the drama.
Oh, absolutely.
He wants to be, like, he's like... looking for the Netflix cameras.
Not only that, but he is stirring that pot.
Yeah,
he's just, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, like one of the things that I really miss is when they used to be able to call like the race director people on the radio. Yeah. And it was always Christian trying to call the race director people.
Complaining about something.
Like, Toto would hear that Christian was calling, and then Toto would call, and like those two do not get along.
Oh, absolutely. Never.
And it's like, and they've both made like really like salty comments towards each other. Like Toto said something about how like Christian, like he's like, oh, I feel like I'm always on Christian's mind, or like,
oh gosh,
get me off his mind. Something along those lines. I'll have to like fill in that little blip. But
Christian likes to rumble around a little bit, but I think we are doing it a bit different. We concentrate on ourselves. We don't look too much left and right. We do the talking on the track.
But yeah, it's just funny. But I think he's right though. I feel like because Christian like wants to be number one, wants to have the best team. But I think he really sees Mercedes as like a big.
He does. Yeah. But even when Mercedes is struggling, he's always concerned about. Yeah. And that's what I didn't understand. Like, even at the beginning of this season when Ferrari was doing really well, I felt like he was after Mercedes. And, like there were things...
the porpoising and all that stuff.
And I'm just like, I have no idea what's going on. But, like, why do you care? He does.
He's got a little jealousy bug with
You think he applied for the job at Mercedes? Maybe. And he got turned down? And then he's salty?
We are going to start that rumor. That is why...
You never know. I'm just saying.
Why. I think you're so right.
Just saying, there's got to be a reason why you're always going after somebody.
Yeah.
Like, there's got to be more than that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Or maybe it's after Mercedes' merch, because they have such good merch. I don't know.
Mercedes has hands down the best merch.
Oh, 1,000%.
Red Bull's is okay.
Red Bull's is okay, but Mercedes, by far, the best.
Yeah. I can't appreciate that Red Bull, like, when they have, like, when they went to, like, when the race was in Miami, like, they had, like, Miami style.
Oh, did they do,
Red
like,
Bull.
flamingo-ish?
It was like a flamingo-y pink and, like, a teal color. It was very Miami Vice.
Oh, okay.
They also had some for Coda.
Oh, I didn't notice that for Coda.
See, I didn't either. And Dustin just bought a shirt, and, like, he was like, oh, this was on sale, because, like, it was, like, old Coda merch. And it's actually great quality.
You'll have to send it to me so I can see this.
Yeah. I was like, okay, it's not bad. But okay, so back to Christian.
Yeah. So what about his personal life?
So
because I'm real pumped about this.
To Spice Girl,
a Spice Girl,
Ginger
not
Spice.
Just a Spice Girl, like the Spice Girls. Yes.
Was she your favorite Spice Girl?
No, I like Sporty Spice.
You like Sporty Spice?
Sporty Spice.
So I was always torn between Ginger.
Yeah.
And Baby Spice.
Yeah, I could see that.
Posh.
I liked Posh, but I don't know, Sporty Spice to me was just
Yeah. But so, honestly, Ginger Spice is really the reason why I started watching.
I know. I remember.
Survive.
She was like,
And
"Oh my
she's
God!"
the reason why we're sitting here today.
I was about to say. So I remember you were telling me this. She's watching it with her husband. Well, her husband's watching it. She's sitting on the couch, and she looks up and she goes, "Oh my God, that's the Spice Girls." Wait, what are you watching?
There.
Yeah.
I was like, why is Ginger Spice on the TV with these race car driver men?
Yeah. And
What's
then
happening?
all of a sudden
Yeah. And then I was informed that she was married to somebody.
in F1.
And I was like, start this over. Like, I need to see. But, okay, so I love her.
Okay.
Jerry Halliwell, Jerry Horner. Jerry Halliwell Horner? I don't know officially what her name is now. But anyways,
I don't know.
whatever. Ginger Spice.
Yeah.
And funny thing about her is she wears white and like cream tones exclusively.
Oh, I know. And she looks so fabulous in
Yeah.
it.
Well, and it's like, I noticed that and I was like, oh my God, like that's interesting. Like, why is she doing that? And then I didn't realize it was like a thing. Like, she literally like exclusively wears those colors. And she's been asked in interviews, like, why are you always like, you literally only wear white and
Like neutral.
cream.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, it's like that same tone. And so she said, this is actually really smart of her. She said that like those colors always look like timeless,
Yeah.
classy.
Mm-hmm.
And then she doesn't have to worry about matching anything.
Oh, yeah, because they all go
Because
together.
it all goes together. So literally her whole entire wardrobe
Is mix and match.
is, but it's exclusively in those tones.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because if you go back to her as a Spice Girl,
Right,
she
she
kind
was
of would
very-
wear the same thing.
Well, no, but she was always wearing the Union Jack, like, dress.
Yes. Yeah.
And then she had those big platform boots.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of always in that.
Yeah, like she was never going like neon
from one thing to
orange
the
or
other
any,
thing
yeah.
to the next to the whatever. Yeah,
Mhm.
she's always been very like, this is what my brand is.
Oh, I like that.
So, and I think they have a few kids, and they have like they live on like a farm. Like,
They do in England, right?
in England,
Mhm.
yeah, and they have like horses and stuff like that, and so yeah, fun stuff for them. But yeah,
Fun
but-
stuff for them.
but yeah, so I would say like Christian's definitely super opinionated as a team principal.
Oh God,
and
I find him
he's
so
always trying
obnoxious.
to do
too.
like interviews and have his little statements and stuff like that. But
Oh,
that's
yeah.
Christian. But then outside of that, though, I feel like there's a few other personalities like on the team that we need to discuss
Like
because
who?
they come up so often. Like Helmut Marko.
Okay.
You don't know Helmut Marko?
No, who are we talking about?
Oh my God. Okay, so Helmut Marko is officially like, I think he's kind of in charge of like managing their talent and like hiring on like the young talent and like doing all of that. So all of these drivers that have been in the driver academy, like if you listen to interviews with
Oh,
him,
I know who this is now.
he's like the old man. Like
Yes.
he literally looks like a
Yeah.
sorry, Helmut Marko, but you kind of look like zombie vibes. Like Walking Dead a little bit.
Maybe a little bit.
But so like pretty much all these drivers that have gone through the driver academy at Red Bull and everything, like they will all talk about having to have like a meeting with Helmut Marko
Mhm.
before they go join Red Bull. And like he seems to me to be like the gateway into.
He's the gatekeeper.
Yes, exactly. Like, so he's the one that's like managing the young talent, like trying to choose, who does he want for the team and all of that. And, he's had some really like he makes really controversial statements and like
Worse than Christian.
worse than Christian.
Okay.
Says like inappropriate things. Like he was the
He's
one.
the old man, though.
I know.
Every old man makes inappropriate
I
comments.
know, but so like he even was like making comments about like this was as recent as like this past season.
Mhm.
Like he made some kind of a statement in an interview when he was talking about Max and Checo, and he said something about Checo, like he's some kind of whatever. He was talking about some trait that he had, and he was like, "Oh, well, that's how the South Americans are. Like that's a South American."
Oh, God bless.
Checo's Mexican.
Yeah.
And South American and Mexican are two different
very
things.
different.
Right. And so after, I can't remember what race that was, but directly after that,
Mhm.
Checo either went on to like win or get a podium at that next race. And if you saw like after the race was done, like he had one of those big like Mexican sombrero hats on.
Okay.
Because he was trying to be like, I'm Mexican. Like,
he was making a statement too.
That's what I got from that. And then, like, Checo will get on the radio and he'll be like, oh, this is the Mexican way, and, like, whatever.
Oh, gosh.
Like, he's like, I'm Mexican.
Well, and I also think he's trying to show the world, like, I'm a driver from Mexico. Mexico can produce drivers. Like, yes. I think it's also, it may have been a jab, but I also think that Checo stands up very much for, like, his heritage, his culture, 100%. Everything. Like, he wants the world to know and see Mexico for all the amazing things that it is, you know?
Yeah. But so Helmut Marko will make comments like that. And then, like, it's like, where's the PR? Like, where is his, like...
He's an old man. There is no PR.
Know, but
there's no filter.
Somebody to like follow him around.
You think that somebody's going to be able to stop every single comment that comes out of an old man's mouth? Right. Absolutely not.
Control him.
No,
he's uncontrollable.
Exactly.
But I wanted to bring him up because I just feel like he's a big part of that team, and like kind of I think he has a lot of say in who the personnel is. Yeah, basically.
Or the new up and coming personnel.
Right. And then they also have Adrian Newey, which I feel like okay, so he is their technology officer.
Okay.
And Adrian Newey is, like, by all accounts, literally a genius. Like, probably the smartest person in the sport. And I think...
Is he, like, the Einstein of F1?
Yeah, so he was with McLaren.
Wait, is he smarter than Red Bull strategist?
She's another one.
Okay.
But, like, when it comes to, like, the manufacturing of the car... He's that person. Like, tip-top, like, you can't find anybody better than him. And he's been able to really, like, find a lot of loopholes and, like, do a lot of different things, like, with the car. And I think that's a large part of, like, why the team is so successful is because of Adrian Newey.
Okay.
And so they basically had like, he was with McLaren, and then when Red Bull started, they...
Took him, like, recruited him over, brought him in.
Brought him in. And so, I mean, he's just done amazing things for the team. So I think, like, he's super important.
Okay, fair enough. And then the last important person...
Hannah Schmitz.
Yes, the strategist. I mean, she's
fantastic. And there is not enough information on the internet about her.
I feel like she's the hidden gem of that team. She is,
and I feel like they're gatekeeping her.
They totally are.
I feel like they're like, you can't speak to anybody, like, don't do any interviews. Yeah. Like, because they don't want people to know.
How fabulous she is.
She's amazing, though.
Yeah.
And, like, I was so excited when I found out that, because I feel like they didn't ever really, like, she wasn't known. Like, I didn't know that their chief strategy person was a female until, like, this season.
I was about to say, I don't think so.
Like, I don't think we've seen her on Drive to Survive.
Not really, or like if they did, I don't think I realized what she was or
what she was doing.
Yeah.
But we need to see more about her. I'm super intrigued. Like, I'm intrigued.
Netflix, we want to hear more about her.
I want to hear more about her.
She's interesting.
Yeah, but she's, I mean, if you could pick, like, and we've said this with our, like, trying to draft, like, a
perfect team.
Yeah. Like, Hannah Schmitz, hands down.
1,000%.
If we could clone her.
We totally would and bring her to Ferrari.
Well, actually, like, I don't even want to clone her and bring her to Ferrari. I want to steal her.
Or steal her and give the clone, bad clone to...
Give the evil clone back to Red Bull.
Give the evil clone back to Red Bull. That's going to sabotage this team.
But, okay. So, moving on to the drivers.
Yes.
So, obviously, like, do we want to start with Max?
Well, I was like, do we want to start with Checo and then end with Max? Because Max was, he technically ended, he won the championship driver. So let's
start with Checo.
Yeah.
We like Checo better.
We do. Oh, and you know what you need to do? You need to post the mariachi band and the chanting. Yeah.
Wait, what?
When we were at Coda, remember we were in the tent with the mariachi band and they had all that music and they started chanting.
Oh my gosh,
Okay, So Checo
So Checo
is Mexican.
He is Mexican. He's 33 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He seems older.
He does, but
seems
not
older to
like
me.
in the way he looks, just in the way he holds himself.
Right. Yeah, I think he's a little bit of an old soul.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so this will be his 13th season in F1.
So he's
been around. He's been around. So he started in 2011. He started out with Sauber.
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay, so let me just kind of get into, okay. So he got the Sauber seat because he had been on the Ferrari Driver Academy.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had that relationship with Sauber. But he, before even that point, he had so much, work and different things that he had done to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Coming from Mexico, it's, super hard to get into F1.
Well, yeah, and I mean, your parents pretty much send you overseas and just
Right.
hope and pray that you make it.
Yeah. So he had been, he had done all the karting stuff. He was doing some IndyCar stuff, I think, in Mexico when he was young, super young, 13, 14.
Yeah.
And he was in some kind of a championship in Mexico that, the winner of that series or whatever would have gotten a spot on this team that then competed in Europe.
Okay.
So that was kind of his hopes. And so he was thinking I'm going to win this series and then I'll go to Europe and then that'll be my way to get into F1.
Mm-hmm.
Well, during that series time period, he had gotten into an accident with somebody on the track and he got disqualified from the series.
No way.
Yeah. And he was leading that series. So he would I think there was one race left.
Oh my gosh,
He
how
got disqualified.
heartbreaking.
Yeah, so he was obviously super upset about that. And the person that owned the team, which I'm trying to find on my notes what the team was called. Scuderia Telmex.
Okay.
And it was Carlos Slim. Who is
Oh, he's back.
He's back.
Weren't we just talking about him?
Well, I was talking
Oh, you were telling.
I was talking to my dad.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Okay.
But, okay, so they were competing for a spot on Carlos Slim's team called Scuderia Telmex.
Mm-hmm.
And Carlos Slim is the, I believe, 10th richest person in the world, even? Or, is it just in Mexico?
I think
no,
just Mexico.
No, I think it's in the world.
We'll have to look that up.
Okay, fact check.
Hello, this is Fact Checking Alex, and he is the 10th richest person in the world with a net worth of $86 billion. And this is as of February of 2023, so currently, right now. So this also makes him the richest person in Latin America, hands down. So super, super rich. Thanks, bye.
Check. But he's super rich. And so he owns several different companies. He owns Telmex, Telcel, and it's Mexican communications companies. So cell phone, towers, that kind of stuff. And then he's also into concrete business and a bunch of different stuff, banking, etc. So he has all this money. He's sponsoring this team or owns this team. And this happens to Checo. So he can't compete for this spot anymore. And he basically over time begged Carlos Slim to give him that opportunity.
Yeah.
And personally, reaching out, asking.
Well, yeah, one fellow Mexican to another fellow Mexican, yeah.
And so over time, he pretty much proved to him that how much he wanted it.
Yeah, and he's worth investing in.
Right. And so
That's awesome.
Carlos Slim gives him the opportunity. And Checo goes to Germany first, and he was by himself. I think he was 15 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes to Germany, joins this team, and then and he didn't have anybody. He went by himself. He didn't speak the language. He didn't have anybody there. And so basically the team manager was the one that was kind of watching out for him. And the team manager also ran a restaurant, and so Checo ends up living in the restaurant for a few months before he could find an apartment to stay in.
Yeah.
Whatever. I mean, just really scrappy and really a hustler.
Yeah, but you have to remember, it's
really young.
so hard to get into this sport, and it's so expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, think of how many of the different, drivers, their parents just gave everything they had just to get them to Europe, and then from there, you just kind of make it work.
Yeah.
Getting jobs, working, doing whatever you can just to race,
So he basically like works his way up through this whole European karting kind of scene, and eventually does well enough to get picked up by the Ferrari Driver Academy
for like F2 and F3.
Right. Well, and again, like I don't know if because I don't even think he competed F2, F3.
Okay, that's right.
At that point. But so just that Ferrari Driver Academy like connection helped him get the seat at Sauber for his first seat
in F1.
Yeah. But so and there are some people though, because he still to this day is sponsored by Carlos Slim and like Carlos Slim's companies. Like you'll see the Telmex on Red Bull now and whatever. And so he's got all of this sponsorship money that comes from that relationship. And so some people think of Checo as like a pay driver because he's got these sponsorships that are following him.
So does Yuki.
Yeah.
So does Joe.
Right.
So does a million of the other sponsors. You're telling me that there's no sponsors out of the Netherlands that are only after Max?
No, I agree.
Like,
and I think he's proven, he's talented. So, but I just wanted to because there are some people that will say that we are not one of those people. We think he has earned it. Like he's earned it.
Yeah, I mean,
through grit and like hard work. I mean, he really has.
Well, even not if that, I just think that's ridiculous because there's so many other drivers that I feel like some affiliation with something. Yeah. Who cares?
Like Lance Stroll, whose dad owns
exactly.
the team. I mean, come on, that's a pay driver. But anyways, so he starts out in 2011 with Sauber. He did, I think, a couple years for them, and then he moved to McLaren. Had a horrible season at McLaren, but they were like having a bad year that year. And then he moves on to Force India, and was with that
and did well with them.
Yeah, he was with that group for like 7 or 8 years. So it was Force India, then it was Racing Point, and then Daddy Stroll came in, and all of that. So he found himself in 2020. He almost found himself like out of the sport. Because, whenever Stroll came in.
Oh, yeah.
First, Esti lost his seat because they gave Lance that seat.
Yeah.
And then it was Lance and Checo. And then Stroll wanted to bring in Vettel. And so Checo was without a spot.
Yeah.
And so, it came down to, I want to say, the last couple races of that season. And do you remember, he came out of nowhere and won the Grand Prix, and I think it was in Bahrain.
I think I do remember that.
It was, a surprise win. He pretty much, pulled it off.
I think that was Force India's only...
for sure.
Yeah, their only...
win.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Season. Oh, my God. Yeah, definitely. Hands down. Because, they did not have a car for people to be, winning races in.
Oh, no.
And so that pretty much got Red Bull's attention because during that time period is when Albon was on Red Bull and he was
it just wasn't working.
And they were looking for somebody to partner Max, and so he wins this race, and then they quickly were like, we need to snatch him up.
All doors open up.
Yeah, it was this guy, he works really hard.
He's been here. He knows what to do. Yeah.
Right. And so it was kind of oh my God, flashlight, light bulb moment of he's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Because, perfect.
They wanted someone seasoned. Yeah. Not going to argue. Yeah.
100%. But so that win pretty much sealed the deal for him. And then he got the spot at Red Bull starting in 2021.
Okay.
Right. Yes. In 2021. This past year he finished in 3rd place. It came down to that last race. Because he was
it didn't
almost
have
gonna
to
get second. I know.
It didn't have to.
I know.
But
so
clearly Red Bull has made their stance on Max is their number one, regardless of what's going on. Max is all they care about.
right.
Doesn't matter if it
Super
means Checo loses second in the drivers' championship.
Yeah, when Max literally doesn't even need points anymore.
Exactly.
It was wild. But okay, so he finished third. He had 305 points. Which was great. I mean, he won Monaco this year.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about that. But okay, I'll just get into it. So he's married.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a wife. Her name is Corolla.
Okay.
And they have 3 kids.
Okay.
And the kids are like young. Like they're like, I think like she just had a baby this past year. Like the kids are all
probably like all under 8 or 7.
Oh, I think they're all under the age of like 4.
Oh, okay.
Like, they're like pretty young. And then 2, I think they've moved, like his wife and the kids have moved to England so they can be like closer during all the races and stuff. But we really rarely see Corolla out at like the race with the kids, and like they were at the Mexico race, and it was so
and maybe
cute.
they just want a little bit more of a private lifestyle.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
they don't want their kids
young.
raised in
Those
that,
kids
you know?
are young to be like carting them around everywhere.
Yeah. Well, and also
Like they might be a little bit too young still.
even if they get a little bit older, like
Yeah.
a lot of people just want their kids to have a more
Right.
normal
I mean,
life.
look at like Vettel and Vettel's wife. Like we rarely ever saw Vettel's wife and their kids.
Yeah.
I don't even think one of his kids. I don't even think the public knows like what the kid's name is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like they try to keep it, private. But okay, so I mentioned he won Monaco this past year, and Checo likes to party. Can I just say that Checo likes to party? And I'm
just
here,
like
I'm here for that.
I was about to say, well, just like I would say any Latino, like I feel like all
He likes to
Latinos.
have a good time.
Yeah.
So after
Is Mexico Latino technically?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
It's part of Latin America.
Yeah.
Looking over at Alex's map over here.
It's right there.
Mm-hmm.
No. So after winning the race, he went out and had a great time. He was
Well, yeah,
partying,
he
having a good
deserved
time.
it.
Yeah. So there was some videos that people, fans, what have you,
Whatever.
people in the public had videoed him doing a couple different things. So he was at a club, he was dancing with some girls, suggestively, that gets videoed. Then also he was like partying on somebody's yacht in Monaco.
Okay.
And dancing with some girls on this yacht, blonde girl specifically.
Okay.
And then there's other videos of him where he's like super wasted, like trying to get off the boat, and he's like stumbling around, and he's like whatever. He was having a good time. Well, so then all of these rumors start to come out that he's been cheating on his wife.
Oh my god, just because he dances with someone?
Just because he was dancing with this girl and whatever. So who knows if that's true or not or whatever. But he denied all of those claims. He says no, like he is super faithful to his wife.
Yeah.
Blah, blah,
Maybe
blah,
he
blah,
just
blah,
had too much to drink and he was just dancing.
I think yes.
I mean, he just won a Grand Prix.
Won Monaco, which is like the
one of the
to
big Grand Prix.
Yeah. And then, people with their phones getting videos of every little move
that anyone makes. Yes, come on. I mean, I'm not saying he didn't or did. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, and I'm not excusing it, but I'm just like, come on, like just because he dances with someone, you're gonna say that he's cheating on his wife, like
right? But so that all happened, Monaco, what have you. Then too, I'm like, I don't even know if I want to open this can of worms, but the whole like allegations of him purposely crashing during qualifying in Monaco.
Oh, I don't really remember that.
Okay, so we're going to talk about how their season, like the team's season, kind of ended on a rocky footing, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. And not the team, I would say the drivers.
The two drivers ended the year with a little bit of saltiness, a little bit of drama. I mean, I don't even want to say a little bit. Like, it was very dramatic.
Well, and very public.
Very public, and they were, like, arguing with each other publicly, making, like, one would make a statement, and then the other one would follow up a different statement, and so...
And then Max's mom gets involved.
And Max's mom got involved.
Right. Okay, so tell the story.
Okay, So
the condensed story.
I know. I'm like, oh my gosh, help me. Okay, so they were doing the Brazil Grand Prix. It was like the last couple laps, and Max had been let in front of Checo to see if he could pass whoever was in front of him. I can't remember. I think it was Charles and like somebody else, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, Max was not able to overtake these people, and so they were on the radio telling Max, give Checo the position back.
Yep.
Because he needed to finish
either
high
high
up as he could
to compete with
Charles because they were still in this second place battle.
Yep.
Well, it becomes very clear, like, Max is not going to let Checo pass.
Yeah.
And so
easily, like, in the sense of, like,
right,
if you're going to pass me, you're going to
have to race me for
yes,
it.
exactly.
And, like, he was, like, not going to, like, pull over on the side or slow down or
Yeah.
do any of that. And so Checo's also on his radio, like, what's going on? Like, is he going to let me pass? And they're like, we're working on it. Well, anyways, long story short, he doesn't let him pass.
Mm-hmm.
And then Max makes a comment on the radio, and he goes something to the effect, and I'll fill in the radios here, but something to the effect of, I already told you guys not to ask that question.
Yeah, like we've already discussed
discussed this because of what happened this summer, and don't ask that question ever.
Yeah.
I told you already last time. You guys don't ask that again to me. Okay? Are we clear about that? I gave my reasons, and I stand by it.
And then Checo gets on his radio independently and says something to the effect of, like, this really shows what type of guy he is.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it shows who he really is.
Like, thank you for that.
Yep.
This really shows what type of guy he is. Well, so then Checo goes on to be interviewed after the race by a Spanish person interviewing him and makes these comments in Spanish saying that, like, it shows what kind of teammate he is and that Max owes his 2 championships to Checo.
Yeah.
And he doesn't appreciate that or something to that effect. And then Max says he's, like, not going to answer any more questions about it or whatever. And then Max's mother, who is a little pot stirrer herself, she got on, somebody had made a post on Instagram or whatever, and so she commented, like, it was something to the post was something about this whole situation.
Yeah.
And that Max wasn't a good teammate. And then she made the comment about, well, at least, like, well, she was like, well, Checo cheats on his wife after winning Monaco or something like that.
Yeah. Like,
to that point.
Yeah, like, literally, she's stirring a pot for no reason. Like, what does that have to...
Max's mom. Like,
exactly. Like, and what do you care? Or not what do you care, but, like...
Stop making comments.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. So, anyways, then it comes out, the comment that Max had made about... I already told you after what happened this summer, that whole thing was about the allegations that Checo during qualifying in Monaco had deliberately crashed. I'll say, if you go and you watch the videos about that, and, like, they show...
Yeah, but there's also the times when Charles was way ahead and out of nowhere crashes into a wall.
Sure.
So you know what I'm saying? Like, all it takes is one split second of making one wrong decision.
Right.
And especially in Monaco. Monaco, I mean, you literally have no room for error.
Right.
So, I mean, he could have just, like...
had a stupid mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Because it shows, like, if you really dig into that, like, and watch the track times of him going around the track, like, it'll show you, like, where the driver's braking, where they're speeding up, whatever. And, like, he did everything the same except for he decided to, like, brake when he didn't need to.
You never know, though.
You never know.
Like, literally just could have been a mistake and, like, got out of his zone or missed.
Something. But so, allegedly...
Or maybe he was trying something a little different to see,
see what it would do.
Yeah. And
who knows? But so, allegedly, Checo, like, admitted to crashing on purpose.
Oh.
Privately. Like, amongst the team.
And
Max then
public
found out about it, and then he's like, no, like, he did that, I'm not helping him. That's the story. So anyways, moving in to Max.
Okay.
So that's kind of how the two drivers left off at the end of the season. And then after all of that public drama, they publicly again were like making these like PR statements of like, you know, we're a team.
Oh,
and
whatever.
we're going to work together. And that we've already discussed this and like what, so basically saying like, you know, there's no issue here. They're lying.
Publicly, there's no issue.
Like that, you cannot tell me that some of those like charged statements that they were both making, like,
yeah,
there's bad blood there.
Oh, absolutely.
There's absolutely bad blood there. But okay, so getting into Max.
Yep.
So Max is 25 years old.
Yep.
And he is a Belgian/Dutch driver, but I always want to say fly. He drives under the Dutch flag.
Yep.
He's a 2-time world drivers champion. So 2021, 2022. This is going to be his 9th season in F1.
Okay.
Which, like,
he's getting pretty seasoned
for somebody that's only 25.
Yeah.
For sure. So he actually started in F1 in, I think it was 2015.
Okay.
But he was only 17 years old.
He's young.
Yeah, he is actually the youngest, like,
F1 driver?
Yeah, to be in F1.
Yeah.
And at the time when he started in F1, he didn't have his real, like, driver's license yet.
How crazy is that?
I know.
You're driving in F1.
But he didn't have, like, he couldn't go, like, drive out on a road.
Well, he probably didn't care to.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, he was probably old enough to get a driver's license. He just, like, hadn't.
Well, yeah, because he's probably like, all I care about is getting my super points.
Right. Oh, exactly. Okay, so his father was a racing driver in F1.
Okay.
He was nowhere near as successful as Max has been. And, I mean, I think he had some, like, podiums and some race wins and stuff, but didn't get close to being, like, a driver's champion. But I think a lot of the reason Max is the way that he is because of his father.
Okay.
So
his dad, like, overbearing, strict?
Yeah, I feel like his dad is one of those types that's, like, living vicariously through him a little bit.
Oh,
and
probably.
Like, super overbearing, super strict. Like, there's stories out there, and, like, he's even said some of this stuff, like, in interviews, that when Max was, like, going through karting, like, growing up, being, like, a little kid and all of that, there was a weekend where he had made some mistake on the track, and his dad was so mad at him, like, they stopped to get gas, and he, like, left him at the gas station.
Oh my gosh. My dad's done that to my brother.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so his dad was, like, strict, like, no playing around, you know, no, like, mess ups, basically. He's like, you're gonna go out there, you're gonna perform, you're gonna do it. But okay, so overall, he has 35 career wins.
Okay.
And 20 pole positions.
Okay.
And he joined F1 straight from F3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he didn't do F2. He got 3rd place in F3 and then straight away joined F1.
Okay.
On Toro Rosso.
I was about to say, not with Red Bull. I was going to say Toro Rosso.
Yeah, so he went straight to Toro Rosso. He did a season with Toro Rosso. And then the next year, like his second year in F1, he only ended up doing like 4 races with Toro Rosso.
Okay.
And then Red Bull promoted him up to the Red Bull team.
Wow.
To replace Daniel Kvyat.
Okay.
Which Daniel Kvyat is, and we've mentioned this in some of our previous episodes because I find this fact like wildly insane and intriguing. But Daniel Kvyat is Kelly Piquet's baby daddy.
And Kelly Piquet is Max's current girlfriend.
Right. So not only did he steal his seat,
He stole his girl.
And his child.
Oh, gosh.
He's now kind of like the stepfather.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, he's like, there's tons of pictures and stuff with him and Kelly's daughter. But we'll get into that. So, anyways.
Oh, gosh. Salty.
I know. There's a lot of drama going on.
It's making me like...
So, I know. I'm sweating. But, okay. So, he replaces Daniel Kvyat, like, mid-season. And then he hasn't gone anywhere since, obviously. Like, he's been with Red Bull. His, like, I feel like Max, out of anybody, like, lives, sleeps, eats, breathes, just car, like, racing.
F1. Yeah.
F1. When he's not racing in a real car, he's on his sim racing.
I mean, yeah, we just saw he's putting that in his private jet. So that when he's traveling, he can still be on the sim, which is crazy to me.
I mean, he does not quit. I think, like, he probably goes to sleep, closes his eyes, and sees, like, different tracks in his mind. Which is weird. Like, it's kind of, like, robotic and strange.
Or he's probably, like, thinking of the data. Yeah. Also, of, like, where I have to brake, where I need to hit the gas, where I need to downshift, upshift.
Oh, yeah. Like, he is definitely, like, he could, like, drive that car probably blindfolded at this point.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah, it's insane. But okay. Also a little funny, like, tidbit about him. So over this winter break, he competed in the 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Okay, he also did?
Virtual.
Oh, virtual.
The virtual one. And, I mean, that's, like, by all accounts, is, like, a very serious, like, there's people that, like, train to do the virtual 24 hours, and, like,
Is the virtual, do you have a teammate also?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. But so he was doing really well, I think, like, leading that race and, like, gonna win it. And the server, like, dropped on him. And then it, like, turned back on, and he was, like, in 7th place or something, and he, like, had a fit and was like, I'm never doing this again.
I mean, that sucks.
And, like, he was really mad. And, like...
I would be so pissed. I get pissed when my internet drops in the middle of a meeting.
Right. And, like, think about, like, he had literally been at this for, like, a day.
Yeah.
A whole day.
Gosh.
So, I can just imagine Max, because, I mean, when he gets angry...
Oh, he gets angry.
He flips out, and it's kind of funny.
It is a little bit. It's kind of like Yuki, a tad bit.
Yeah, he's got a temper. And, like, the first couple years he was on Red Bull, I think they really had to work on that with him.
Oh, I bet.
Because, like, you can't just be flying off the handle. Like, you have to have some composure.
Well, especially if you want to be part of, like, the top teams.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Yuki, I think, gets away with it a little bit because Toro Rosso says, like...
They're like, it's fine.
Yeah. Or Alpha Tauri or whatever now.
They're like, it's okay.
Well, they're, like, middle tier.
Right.
You know, like, they're not, like, the face. I think if he was up on Red Bull, like, there's no way he could be acting
you can't
like
be
that.
acting like that. I also wanted to say this, and I forgot to say it before, but he finished this year with 454 points, which is, like, more than...
Well, and the
lot of the teams.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, but the team themselves, 700. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like...
So, I think, like, 4th place, which was Alpine, had, like, 470 or something like that. So, Max by himself beat out, like, more than half the grid, like, the teams.
That's insane.
That's just a little, like, it's crazy to me, like, how many points this kid
Well, it puts it in perspective of, like... how much he dominated this year.
He won 15 races in 2022. And I think it was like 23 or 22 races.
Just
Max. Anyways.
Irks me.
Okay, so his personal life. We said he's dating Kelly Piquet.
Yeah.
Which is Daniel Kvyat's ex. So I'm going to put this timeline together for you.
Okay.
So we can examine it.
Let me hear this.
Okay, so Max met Kelly back in 2015.
Okay, 2015 they met.
Max was 17 years old.
Okay.
And Kelly is older than Max. So currently Kelly is 34.
Okay, so they're like 10 years apart?
Yeah, I think
Give
it's
or
like
take.
9 or 10 years. Yeah.
Okay.
So
2015.
In 2015, he's 17 years old.
Okay.
They met because Max was friends with Kelly's brother.
Okay.
Which Kelly's brother also we've actually talked about, which we might not remember. So whenever we talked about Crashgate with Renault.
Oh, yeah.
So it was Nelson Piquet Jr. is Kelly's brother.
Okay.
So Nelson Piquet Jr. was the other driver on that team with Alonso
yes.
Nelson admitted after the fact to crashing on purpose.
So that Alonso
could pass. Anyways. So he had that whole drama situation just in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that happened, like Nelson never raced in F1 again.
Oh gosh.
And so Nelson and Kelly's father is Nelson Piquet, like Senior, who has won. They're Brazilian, and he won like 2 or 3 championships.
Okay.
Back in the day, like in the 80s.
So what does he have to do with this?
Okay, sorry. So
okay. I'm sorry.
This is my storytelling where I'm like, okay, this is a really important detail.
And I have
to like
bring it back. And I was just like, so Max knows his girlfriend because of the brother, but what does the dad have to do with it?
Well, the dad he makes bad comments too. I feel like everyone around Max and like in his personal circle, like his dad makes some weird comments. His mom clearly is like commenting on social media.
Yeah.
Kelly's dad has made terrible comments like against like females and like just anyways, just bad. Anyways, so that's how Kelly and Max originally met because of Kelly's brother Nelson.
Okay.
So they meet at the point when they met. Kelly was dating Daniel Kvyat.
Okay.
And Daniel Kvyat was like on Red Bull and was their driver.
Their top driver.
Right. Okay. So then Kelly and Max have been dating since about 2020 at some point.
Okay.
During 2020. Kelly was still with Daniel up until at least 2019 because that's when her daughter was born.
Yeah, but maybe she got pregnant and they were just trying to make it work, but it wasn't really working.
It wasn't working.
Yeah, maybe.
What have you. So, anyway, so now...
I definitely do think it's a little close, but at the same time, they, at that point, would have known each other 4 years.
Right.
So it wasn't like they met and then, like,
they
6 months later,
started
you know?
Yeah, but so I find it strange, and it makes me feel a little bit, like, icky, I guess, because whenever they met, he was 17. Like, it's just like, he's a kid. I don't know.
Yeah, but maybe that's why she wasn't into him. Because he was a kid.
And then they were friends?
Yeah, maybe. Or, like, maybe they were friends, or maybe they just knew each other a little bit in passing, and it took Max gaining 5 years of life experience, getting past 21, and then for her to be like, oh, maybe I'm actually into this guy. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I think you're giving a lot of benefit of the doubt. I think Kelly is like I think she's
cradle
like a Red Bull groupie.
Or a cradle robber?
Is. No, I don't. Not so much on the cradle robbing. Like,
she's a cougar for sure.
Yeah, she's definitely older. But, like, there's a million other people, and there's a million other people in F1. Like, you had to go for the guy that, like, took your ex's seat at that team.
So you're saying whenever Max gets dethroned, she's going to go after the next Red Bull?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
That'll be third time?
Well, does Max and her have kids together or no? Okay.
Mm-hmm. No, so she's got, her daughter's name is Penelope. They call her P.
Mm-hmm.
But they seem really happy together, and they're together. Like, they were just in St. Barth's, and they went, like, as a family, and, like, there's actually some really funny pictures of Max on that vacation, like some paparazzi photos of him like jumping in the water, and like he looks like a hot mess.
Oh gosh, I could just see him like
dad Bob
floundering around in the ocean.
Yeah, no, it was like he got like knocked over by like a wave.
You'll have to post this.
Yeah, I will. I will find those and post it. But yeah, so I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Also, another thing I want to say about Max is, like, so on this off season, like, you've been seeing a lot of the drivers post, they're like, it's my workout routine. Like,
yes,
I'm like, working for the new season, like training up, whatever.
Getting ready, yeah.
Right. So Max posted one like a couple days ago, and he was like cycling.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And like it didn't look intense like at all. And then he was doing the like neck workouts.
Yeah.
And he was literally just sitting there with like the neck thing on, and like his head was going like it was like not true. And then you have like Charles is like climbing a mountain. Like it's like freezing outside, and he's going ice picking like up a mountain.
Is that for like working out, or was that just because he wanted to do it?
That was like part of his training.
I don't know. I think you need to try these neck things, and then you can decide.
Because I see them doing these neck exercises, and I'm like,
I think the whole point of it is to withstand the G-force.
Of course. Yeah. And they all, like, when you look at them, their necks are
like they're
really
vein
thick.
Yes. Like you can tell, like,
yes,
they're like,
they've been working out on their neck.
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah, I just think it's funny because he'll do, like, Max will post, like, he's doing crunches. And then, like, all the other guys are, like, lifting all these weights and, like, running with, like, an oxygen mask on their face and, like, whatever. And he's like, I'll do some sit-ups.
Or is it just because he doesn't want to feed into media?
I don't know. But then I think the point is, like, maybe you don't need to do all that crazy workout stuff. Maybe you need to sit in your sim and just drive 24 hours a day, like Max Verstappen does.
True. But everyone's different, though.
Of course.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, some people need that physical side.
Right.
And then the rest comes, like, more naturally. Maybe Max needs the technical side more than the physical side.
So, I don't know. It'll be interesting.
It will.
But I'm interested to see, like we said, you know, how that... Are they really, like...
good?
In a good spot? Again, I don't think they are.
I don't either. And I hope they're not.
I don't think they are. And I also think that it doesn't bode well that they've brought in Daniel... and he's not the reserve driver. He's not their test driver. They've literally, like, defined him as the third driver.
Oh.
Did you notice that?
I did. But now that I'm, like, thinking through it more.
He's the third driver.
You know what I hope? I hope Checo just rams it up Max's ass.
I hope he does, too. I really hope he does, too. It makes him look silly.
Oh, yeah. 1,000%.
Oh, my God. The drama.
Oh, that would be so...
Max's radios.
Oh, gosh. Can you imagine if Checo just got a hair too close? Oh, gosh.
My gosh, yeah. I don't know. So I think, like, out of all the teams next year, I think those two...
Yeah.
There could be some sparks. There could be some fireworks. There could definitely be some drama.
Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%.
Sure.
And then if Ricardo comes in...
Oh, I know.
God bless.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
Well, man, so that was all. We made it through all of the grid.
Yes. Well, that's it for our Meet the Grid. Look, we've met the grid.
Yes. And I'm super excited for this year. I guess our next episode will kind of touch on all of the cars.
The car launches.
Car launches.
We just had another one this morning.
Yes. Yep.
There's one tomorrow.
Yep. And then Ferrari's coming up. Valentine's Day.
Yeah, they're going to start coming fast and furious now.
They are. I feel like every morning I wake up and one
is
coming out.
I know. It's so exciting. I love it. But yeah, so we'll have our car launches. We still need to do
grid
predictions, season.
Favorite drivers.
Yeah, we
Latifi.
need to make a list of, like, superlatives.
I know.
We'll do that. And then we need to do our our top 5.
Yep.
But yeah, and then we're going to get into the season.
Yes. No, then we're going to get into Drive to Survive.
Drive to Survive comes first.
I know, and then the season.
Yeah, we're going to have to, because Drive to Survive comes out on the 24th, which I believe is, like, a Friday.
Yeah.
And then the next week is the first race.
I know.
So we need to, like, binge.
I know.
Drive to Survive.
I have no problem binging, especially a good Netflix show.
Yeah. Oh my God, I can't wait.
Woo!
The drama's going to be so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But...
Well, you've been watching...
Queens of the Paddock, an F1 podcast. with Alex. I'm Alex.
And I'm Courtney. And you can find us on Instagram.
At Queens of the Paddock.
Yep. YouTube. What is it?
Queens of the Paddock.
YouTube, Apple, Spotify. All of those.
Radio, wherever you listen to your podcast.
Yep.
With video on YouTube and Spotify.
Yeah.
And
like, subscribe, give us comments, feedback.
Rate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Share it with your friends.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see you next time, and lights out and away we go.
Bye.
Peace.
My God.